We've learned the Rhode Islander was among nearly 24 people who needed help on New England's tallest mountain over the weekend. Most of the hikers were unprepared for the harsh weather, I should say, on New Hampshire's Mount Washington. Barbara Ron tells us about the rescues. Barbara?
Yeah, Mike, 20-year-old Owen Stromer was up on a hike on a snowy and rainy Mount Washington on Sunday with the goal of hiking up to the summit and getting a ride down. But the plan changed when he had a dying headlamp and a dying phone with spotty service.
These are the conditions that many hikers encountered over the last weekend of October. And despite the Sherman Adams Summit building having already been closed for the season, several hikers continued trekking up, hoping they would find shelter and get a ride down. According to Lieutenant Mark Ober from the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department, 20-year-old Owen Stromer, who is a Rhode Island native from Wakefield, told officials he had planned to hike to the summit and then catch an Uber from there. Stromer called 911 when he was about 0.3 of a mile away from the summit, afraid he could not make it the rest of the way. According to officials, Stromer was able to get to the parking lot of the summit where he was met by a park employee before rescuers were sent for him. And Stromer was not the only hiker rescued this weekend, as more than 20 distressed hikers at the summit of Mount Washington were given a ride down by the Mount Washington Cog Railway. This was the last weekend of the season that the Cog was operating to the top of the mountain. About a dozen of the hikers rescued over the weekend even had initial signs of hypothermia, and for some, this was their first ever hike.
We took several and put them right in the locomotive cabs to try to kind of offset those beginning stages of hypothermia and get them dried out. Our locomotive cabs have very strong heaters in them, so we wanted to take the worst of them and get them put up in there right away.
Although there were no serious injuries over the weekend, rescues like these can also come with a financial cost to the hikers. The New Hampshire Fish and Game Department takes point on these rescues and then, based on the needs, decides which teams get called on and whether that means you'll be paying for the rescue afterwards.
Fish and Game will push charges on folks when they're involved in rescues depending on the preparedness level of the individual. So they'll kind of assess it case by case and see, was the person prepared and this was an accident, or did they go out sort of willfully ignorant and kind of bring this upon themselves in so many ways.
Officials asked the hikers check the weather forecast before heading out and plan gear accordingly and know what their hiking level is. But their clear message is, if you hike to the top, you should expect to hike back down. Live in the studio, Barbara Ron, 12 News.